And my question for you is this. Well, let me back up, because the stupid sports radio question would be, Kings fans, would you trade Domantas Sabonis? 1-800-920-1140. Weigh in. You want to be heard. Your voice. That's dumb. Because that's an incomplete question. Would I trade Domantas Sabonis? Yeah. But for what? What are we getting? Would I trade Domantas Sabonis for the poo-poo platter and a second round pick in 2087? No, of course not. But is there a way to make Domantas Sabonis? And also I do hope this isn't the case. The Kings were nice enough to reach out yesterday, and I'm gonna go. I like this from Scott Perry. I'm gonna go have lunch with him in the next couple weeks when I get back. Off record, I'm not gonna, here's what my lunch was. Here's what I asked. Who are you trading? It's not. It's a get to know you background.
Where's the food, dude?
Yeah, exactly. He's paying too, by the way. And it's a good move for GMs to do that. Monty and Mike Brown, I will compliment them. They used to do informal get-togethers before every season with the media at a local restaurant. It's just good to, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Do you have any general questions? Because it's our job to go out and talk about the thing. It's always a good idea to understand philosophy and get to know the person making the decision. So when we, and that's what I'm going to ask really is whether or not, and I don't know if he'll answer it, but is the difference between, we'll call it retool and rebuild, is the difference opportunity? Because I don't want to be unfair to Scott Perry and his team. Guys like me could be on the radio screaming, rebuild, roar. Okay, well, you can't rebuild without moving Domantas Sabonis, and I don't want to trade Domantas Sabonis for pennies on the dollar. Don't want to do it. I want to make it. That's how this team gets in trouble, is they make panic trades. And what I really hope isn't, even if it's subliminal, I don't want there to be this underlying thought that, well, if we trade Domantas Sabonis, now the Halliburton trade comes full circle. You can't, as much as I say I'm going to stick with history and talk about it all the time, the front office can't do that. The front office can't be thinking we've always drafted crappily or the Kings always. No. History is history until you change it. Habits are habits, streaks are streaks until they break. But what would Sabonis's value be? You are talking about the 3-time defending rebound champion. You're talking about a guy that's going to give you 20 points a game. You're talking about a guy whose splits are going to be great. I mean, mainly his shooting splits. He's okay at the free throw line. You're talking about the second most productive center in the NBA when it comes to distributing the ball, a guy you can run at least some of the offense through. And you're talking about a guy that is he is technically a plus defender, but if he's a plus defender, if 0 is average and minus whatever is negative, and he's like a 2 out of 10. Let's say if the needle goes 10 negative, 10 positive, Sabonis is like a plus. He's by definition a plus defender, but he's not somebody you're building your defense around. Now the negatives on Domantas Sabonis is that he is going to make $43.5 million next year, almost 47 the following year, and $50 million the following year. So he's due about $140 million over the next 3 years. The positives is that he's signed for the next 3 years. He ain't jumping ship. He's not, you're going to have him if you trade for him. But that's a lot of coin. You also have to look at a very specific team that's going to take on Domantas Sabonis. Honestly, I don't know that there are a ton of teams that if I was to say, okay, let's put Sabonis on this team. Okay. Well, you just go right down the list. What's he going to do? What could Sabonis do for Milwaukee? What could Sabonis do for Atlanta? What could Sabonis do for the Lakers? What could Sabonis do for the Blazers, the Pelicans? Teams that don't necessarily have the center situation. You're going to have to basically, if you're trading Sabonis, the first question you're going to ask is, what teams don't have their center position locked down? Okay. Number one, what teams need, at least on the surface, what teams need a center? Okay. Somebody said, why would you mention the Lakers? Well, because they what the hell do they have at the center position right now? Don't worry, I don't want them to go to the Lakers, but you're dealing with what? Alex Len and Maxi Kleber at center? Come on. Obviously, the Lakers are in the market for a center with Anthony Davis, who wasn't really a center in the first place, gone. So, number one, you gotta locate that. What teams have a need. And then you have to say, okay, but what could this team give us? Right? What could this team give us that would make us want to trade Domantas Sabonis? That's the more complicated one, guys, because you're also asking the team to take on $140 million. That's a lot of coin, dude. And like I said, I don't want to just trade Domantas Sabonis because, oh, hey, it seems like we're doing something. That's how you run into issues. And are you making it a player-based trade? Maybe. Is it picks and filler? Maybe. So since the guy brought up the Lakers, well, you can't do that. Okay. Well, if you can't do that, let me ask you this. If you were the Kings, that'd be great if you could get Bronny James back in the deal. If you were the Kings, this wouldn't work cap-wise, you'd have to figure it out, but would you do Sabonis for Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, and Dalton Connect? Just throwing it out there.
Do the Lakers win a title with that?
I don't think so. But the Lakers also play by different rules. They do. And
so you wouldn't have a problem risking a Luka Doncic, Sabonis
LeBron
championship?
I will say again, I do not prefer Sabonis going to the Lakers. But also, I would say this too. If the Lakers offered a really good deal that benefited the Kings and where they're at and where they want to go, I don't care if it's the Lakers or the Warriors. I really don't. I don't care. Yes, it would hurt just a little bit extra, but I don't care if it benefits us. So you have to establish that, is my point. So I think the whole, do you trade Domantas Sabonis question is very, very, very complicated. But when the Kings, think about it like this, when the Kings traded for Domantas Sabonis, it's because they had an imbalance in their backcourt and they didn't have enough front court help. Now, guys, not only do they not have a point guard, who's playing the 4 next year? Who's playing the 4 for the Kings? By the way, Trey Lyles is a free agent. And even if he wasn't, I don't think anyone wants necessarily, although in a pinch, fine. Do you really want Trey Lyles as your starting 4? Do you want Keegan Murray continuing to be there? Okay, fine. Kings obviously need either a power forward or a wing, especially if DeMar DeRozan's moving. Can you somehow turn Sabonis and DeRozan into a true blue point guard, a wing, and maybe some draft capital? I'm talking about for both of them separately, because that's where I'd be looking if I was Scott Perry. Because I think Domantas Sabonis is a great player who can do some very good things and be very helpful to teams. I just don't know what the Kings are going to be paying him that kind of money for. What do the Kings need that for right now? Chris, are the Kings going to win a title with this team and Domantas Sabonis?
No.
No. So what are we doing? Right? That's why you have to look at it. But what are we doing? We'll take a break. That's what we're doing. When we come back, hey, halfway through the program, everybody, you almost made it. Top of the hour, OKC Indy.